Welcome back to Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. I listened to a podcast where a famous atheist was interviewed. It made me think about this divide we have between believers and non-believers. First off, I think that non-believers are rejecting the concept of an old man in a white beard who tinkers with us like playing with dolls in a dollhouse. This old man helps some of us, hurts some of us, hates some of us. We have to walk on eggshells to keep from angering this old man because he can be very petty. The old man uses his planet to punish us for things he didn't want us to do. Make him mad? He'll burn you down or flood you out. He made both men and women, but really only values men. Women are somehow lesser, though he did entrust them to bring life into this world. He made all the people, but only gave the secret handshake to a small percentage of them. Those few will go to heaven based solely on the knowledge of that handshake, and everyone else will go to hell. He created people who he knew he was going to hate and have to strike down. He cannot tolerate people being flawed, though he designed them that way. Then mere mortals wrote about what this old man wants from us, and other mere mortals believed every word of it, until they didn't. Now they can pick and choose the words these men wrote to bolster their arguments against other mere mortals and pretend the other words, which register as completely insane now, never existed. Then the men decided to fight and kill each other over who is right about what the Creator wants, never giving any thought into whether the Creator would be honored by them killing each other. I think this whole realm is what non-believers find impossible to back. They do not believe the stories that people have built to explain the source of us all. I, a firm believer, stand with them in rejecting this concept. Some people love nature. Some love people. Some love animals. Some love the planets and the stars. No creator would be angry with a soul who loves and appreciates any part of their creation. Those drawn to science enjoy studying the world, detecting the patterns, determining how it all works, down to the cellular level and beyond. They test and retest, documenting the natural laws and what they may all mean. They document and examine human behavior, attempting to create conditions where humans can live better lives. They value mining data without restrictions determined by religious texts written in the past. They are open to what the universe can offer, valuing certifiable truth, no matter how that will be received by others. Many non-believers, though they do not embrace any religious tradition, have an ethical code that exceeds that embraced by many who see themselves as religious. And the measure of your life will be your other choices, not whether you chose to worship the Creator or the creation. You cannot profess to love the Creator, spend your life trashing the creation, and expect to be given a pass on the other side when you tell them that you are a member of a church or religion. Working towards peace, harmony, and respect, moving towards a feeling of love and compassion for all, is the only measure of your life. Your religious affiliation, or lack thereof, is not part of the equation. There are souls who identify as non-believers who are at much higher levels of spiritual awareness than those who identify as deeply religious. It's not what you say you are. It all boils down to the choices you make. The Creator is not, in fact, petty. The Creator is not concerned with whether you identify as a follower or not, any more than the Creator is concerned with whether or not you agree with the law of gravity. The Creator designed our bodies to release chemicals that make us feel good when we have done something kind. That's pretty brilliant because the design is completely non-discriminatory. The chemical release is not rooted in our personal belief systems. It doesn't matter whether you are kind to others because you need an oxytocin release and know that's how it happens, or if you are doing so with the guidance of the writings of your religious tradition. The system works exactly the same for all who are in it, no matter what they believe. We look to religion and science to make sense of that which our brains cannot fully comprehend. The only thing that counts is whether or not you are kind. The system we live in is both logical and mystical. We have expected results and unexpected results. Those who feel more at home connecting to the mystical enjoy reveling in that which cannot be quantified. They connect to unseen energies, invisible connections. They enjoy wisdom passed down through the ages. They don't feel the need to explain the origins of a vibe to know that they are receiving it. They can enjoy assists from earth elements without having a scientific explanation of why they help. There are things we can see under a microscope, scientific laws we can observe in action, and then feelings and experiences that no one can explain scientifically. We have experiences which only artists can attempt to illuminate. We know how a baby is created, grown, and all about the birth process. Each and every stage can be mapped out scientifically, but no one can explain how that new baby has the power to rearrange the molecules of every person who is there to receive it. No one can replicate the wash of love that consumes all in its path. It doesn't matter in the least which you attach to. It's all the same system. If you can only attach to either the logical or the mystical, you are missing out on half of the magnificence that surrounds you. Be open to it all, learn about it all, and enjoy the unfolding of our understanding. Neither side of the divide has it all figured out yet. It's just too immense. So be open to new information all the time. Resist the temptation to say, "But you said," because both sides have gotten some things horribly wrong. The system is a huge tapestry. To create a tapestry, you must have threads that go in both directions. You have the threads that are the warp, the ones lined up on the loom, and the threads that are the weft, those that are woven through, connecting them. The tapestry of the system is woven in one direction by mysticism and the other direction by logic and science. One is more focused on the Creator and the other on the creation. Before you weave them together, you just have two piles of thread. After, you have a solid, strong tapestry. You are the weaver. Here's the thing. We're in a rebirth. This is a do-over. We are not required to stick with anything we have had an allegiance to in the past if it no longer fits in the world we want to create. It no longer serves us to wrap ourselves in words that do not apply to our current world, be they from the world of science or of the mystical. We have such a hard time letting go of the thoughts that no longer serve us, no matter what realm they come from. If these thoughts are so desperately clung to that they become part of our identity, we need to be open to the process of growing our identity beyond our current level of dreams. Our ability to think on our feet, receive our sacred gut instincts, and adapt to what unfolds before us will serve us to be the light that overcomes all of this darkness. The system is huge, and no matter whether you identify with mysticism or science, you will never be able to fully understand the portion of the tapestry that is your focus. That's the beauty of it all. Your scope of understanding does not determine the size of the system. It's silly and naive to think that which you can currently grasp is all that exists. Numbers existed before you were taught math. Some think that atheists do not want to recognize a creator because they don't want accountability for their actions. If that's true, they're not alone. I read a post on social media about all the climate upheaval and unusual fires that currently plague the planet. One person said, "Well, God is still in charge." That is a complete denial and rejection of the responsibilities that we all share here on Earth. We can't wash our hands of this problem. It's ours to fix. When we were given free will, we were given the responsibility that goes along with that. It's like all the ridiculous talk about, well, what kind of God would... It's like we all want to sit back and see what God does with this mess that we've made. We have been given free will, unlimited information, and brilliant minds to reverse the messes we get ourselves into. But that won't happen if people can't acknowledge their responsibility. You were given the gift of attending this particular school with all its beauty, glory, heartbreak, and strife. You were set down in a place where you have the greatest opportunity to grow into the exalted spirit you were meant to be. Along with that enormous gift comes the responsibility for treating the school and all its students with love, respect, and compassion. The rebirth brings with it the opportunity to embrace some new concepts. This is fantastic because some of what we think now is making us miserable and keeping us stuck. Let's see if we can dislodge some of the old beliefs. We have this twisted view that says nothing should ever change, nothing should be hard, nothing should break us down, no one should ever die. But this is school. We're here to learn and grow. People will come and go. Those who leave have graduated and moved on to their next adventure. You'll see them when you graduate, but will only experience their energy until then. The best things break you down, removing the outer husk that no longer serves you. Underneath is a version of you that is ready to inhabit a higher level. Welcome discomfort. It is the precursor to change, and change is growth. It's that feeling of itching you experience when something is healing. Celebrate the events that blow you apart because you are being rearranged into a more glorious form, one that is wiser and more humble. The reasons we need to realign our thinking to see it this way is that we tend to pathologize everything that falls outside of our perception of how life is supposed to work. Instead of celebrating life's flashpoints, we use them to judge and pity people who seem to be going through something. Then the pharmaceutical industry gives this new disease a name and creates a prescription drug you must take to overcome it. I once saw a commercial that was a video of a middle school kid not knowing where to sit in the cafeteria at lunchtime. The kid looked stressed. Who hasn't had this experience? But they were saying this kid was in need of a pharmaceutical solution to this particular problem. In a culture that revolves around trying to find things for us to spend our money on, everyday life is now a disease that must be treated. The journey of being a child who must find their way in the world is what creates grown-ups who have had to develop some coping skills, some survival strategies, some humility and grace. To tell that child that the normal stuff of childhood is a disease that requires pills to survive wipes out the gathering of tools that the experience was meant to be. It just tells the kid that they should take a pill so they don't feel the discomfort. It sends the message that we cannot survive without chemical assistance. Is this easier than sitting down with a child and explaining that 7th grade is a major low point in most people's lives and that most grown-ups wouldn't go back and do it again for all the money in the world? Is it easier than supporting the child in developing a strategy that might make it less uncomfortable? We need to realign our thinking about all the flashpoints that are a part of the Earth experience. We need to be more open about how difficult this journey is, and sometimes admit that if we let ourselves feel it all, we would all be walking around sobbing. When a woman gives birth to her first child, she is giving birth to an entirely new and unknown identity for herself. She is making her partner a parent. She has created a new family. She will never be the same person that she was the day before all of this happened. The minute she gives birth, she meets this new version of herself for the very first time. She knows nothing of this new identity. It's a complete stranger to her. Now add into this flashpoint that her hormones are crashing, her body is in all kinds of disarray, the people around her have had their identities changed in the same moment, and she's being subjected to the legitimate torture technique, which we call lack of sleep. If we truly understood and acknowledged what an immense flashpoint this was, we would treat her so differently. We would support her differently. We would have different expectations of her. We certainly wouldn't judge her for struggling. We would understand that she was just hit with a Mack truck, has been broken into many small pieces, and is now tasked with putting herself back together in a new form that will care more, know more, worry more, provide more, and endure more. The broken pieces will not be enough to make up the entirety of her new expanded self. She will be learning on the job how to be this new person, creating the pieces that bridge all the gaps the initial collision created. In our twisted version of how life works, we want to ignore everything that is in play and just see her fit back into her jeans, get back to work, and keep up whatever hallmark version of motherhood we currently embrace. Besides all the massive upheaval of this flashpoint in her life, she is now subject to the world judging her every move against that unrealistic version of life. It's no wonder women get depressed. It almost doesn't make sense not to get depressed. Tell the truth about the flashpoints you have survived. Be the loving shoulder for someone who is currently in one. And remember, we all seem to love our hard luck stories after the fact. There's almost a glee that comes from telling others about the horrific circumstances we endured. The worse the circumstance, the better the story. That's because we earned something in the process that no one can ever take from us. We grew into something that was beyond our wildest expectations. We are coming up on the holiday season, which can be challenging for so many people. Let's not go into it with our old way of thinking. Let's try to look at some new approaches to some old situations that haunt us year to year. Send your questions, your concerns in an email to rebirthrev, R-E-V, @gmail.com, and let's see if we can look at it in a different way. Tell everyone you know to join us in the revolution by listening on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube. If you follow and rate us, it will make it easier for others to find us. Until next week, be open, be aware, watch for clues, and encourage someone who's struggling. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Make your week great.